sectors, and he is with us from long time. Over to you, Mr. Manjunath, to deliver presentation on commissioning for data centers.
Thank you very much, Yuvraj. Thank you. And thanks to IGBC for giving me this opportunity to talk about how important is commissioning and why we should look at commissioning. In fact, I would like to thank Berry Saab. Berry Saab, good to e-connect with you. I'm able to getting to see you after almost 2 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Um,
I know. It's been a long time. I know that. Yeah.
As Shivraj spoke about, the commissioning is an important aspect for any built environment, and it is going to be more significant as we are talking about this subject, which is very important and which is energy intensive. So I have a very small presentation to make. I'll just share a small presentation, though this is going to provide you with an overview of what we are going to talk about, and if we have to really look at the commissioning as a whole. Today I'm talking about the ISHRE commissioning standard. So thank you. Let me welcome you all. While Shivraj spoke about what is the importance, why it is really important for us to look at, um, whenever you start any project, whether it's a built environment or even a data center, we start with the project need, the definition, what is that required. So we create that design or the owner's project requirement, what this project should look like. And we go ahead and select the equipment and procure them. Best of the equipments we'll procure, make sure that the installation is done, and what is most important is the commissioning. While all the elements are going to be the most important aspect, it is very much important for us to see how these products function as built and as installed. So which means to say there is a commissioning component which comes into picture if I have to get the expected delivery of performance, energy efficiency. IEQ may or may not come into picture when it comes to data center, but definitely safety comes into the picture. Now, if any part of the product, in spite of selecting the best of the product, if I don't do proper commissioning, the whole purpose gets defeated. The objective does not get met. So it's the most important aspect for us to look at is all the things are robust enough and put to use as per the requirement so that it perform as we intended it to perform. So that is the intent with which uh, we are looking at the commissioning. Now, but it is not that commissioning is not done. Many of you do it, many of you look at the commissioning, but what we found is that is the most neglected portion in the whole of the built environment or any uh, the projects when we look at. As you already seen that uh, if I'm selecting best of the product, if I'm and best of the design, but if I'm not commissioning it properly, I would not be able to meet it. There could be a number of reasons for it. However, what we found is there is no methodology, clear cut methodology, documented methodology being defined in the industry to make sure that the HVAC or all the related components which are brought in are commissioned properly and tested, measured, and also made sure that it also continues to work as intended. So that is the whole thing which we considered, and we said, uh, uh, as I said, there is no structured document procedure for commissioning. There was no, I don't want to say that it was neglected, but it was not given proper attention from the consultants and contractors. They would really look at once the installation is done, once I just switch on and say, okay, it is working. I would not really bother to go and see whether it is performing to the level which it has been designed and where I have made sure that it is installed. So, and the last but not the least, while we are very happy to see that most of the data center project people are well aware of, the project owners are well aware of what is expected, but the awareness when it comes to the importance of commissioning, I think we found that there is a lack, and definitely the lack of awareness on the implication of improper commissioning, because as they go on to the project, when the execution is done, when the running is happening, then only we get to know, hey, well, we don't know why the things happened or why we had to do a rework. It all gets contributed towards, while we are having best of the design, best of the equipment, and we have done a good amount of good installation practices also, but still we get some hitches, or over a period of time you get all the problems which can be directly attributed towards improper commissioning. So this is the whole context for us to at ISHRE to find out that yes, we need a standard which can help the contractors, the the project manufacturing, project management group, and also the project owners to understand and see that their product functions properly, or the whole system functions properly. So based on that, we said, let us come out with a standard which is going to give a structured way of commissioning the HVAC products. So this is the solution that we have. And today I'm going to talk about some aspects of what these standard talks about, and in deep when we really need to understand, because this is a vast subject where the number of components gets included into the built environment is too large, and I may not be able to touch upon everything. Today I am giving you just a process overview, what has been defined, which if we follow, we would be able to have the project working as per the expectations and to best of the performance that is expected, and being safe and sustainable. So this is the standard which ISHRE has developed. I'm going to touch upon the, as I said, what are the scope, how the process has been defined. Uh, this is another relevance what we where we were trying to find out, because green building rating system definitely puts lot of impetus on the commissioning, and it also understands the how critical this activity is. However, there was a need for a structured approach for the commissioning to be done, and this standard facilitates and gives you an advantage to implement and make sure that the built environment or your data center works as per the intent. So what is commissioning? Because I have been always talking commissioning and commissioning and commissioning. So this is the definition which we have come out with. Commissioning is a focused process. It's a process for enhancing the project delivery, or make sure that the product and the system that has been installed, designed, installed, performs to the expected performance level and the safety level. So commissioning validates the design and ensures that the design work is meets with the owner's project requirement. So most important is how do we define, how do we design, and then take it forward in terms of making sure the system performs. So as a whole, commissioning process is the process which focuses on verifying and documenting that all commissioned systems and assemblies, because there are going to be systems, there are going to be small components, everything put together becomes the project. So all these things has to work hand in hand with synchronized, enough of synchronous working. There has to be synergy in every system, whether it is the controls or whether it is the HVAC system, the ducting, the water piping, the refrigerant piping, all of them, to make sure that they work as per the intent. So commissioning becomes an important aspect. While you do that, how do we really measure whether the commissioning is done properly also becomes an important factor for us to say it meets the design requirement. So the commissioning standard that we're talking about talks about all of these aspects. So the commissioning process, as I said, always starts with the pre-design, and it continues throughout the design, construction, the startup, and in fact, it continues through the entire life of facility. How it continues as entire life of the facility, that I think will, as we go on, you will get to see. What do I mean by what I said is in terms of the pre-design? It is not the design of the built environment, but the how the product gets installed, how it has to function is the design that we are going to look at in this commissioning. And also, it is not going to talk about whether your heat load, what you have calculated, is correct or not, or the product selection is correct or not, but it talks about what how as a system it has to uh, perform. So that design gets validated, verified in this commissioning standard. So as I said, the purpose of this standard is to provide a structured methodology for implementing the process of commissioning of the equipments, the subsystem, and the system to obtain fully functional and properly balanced HVAC system and also the other associated system. We are limiting it to the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system here, while there could be other electrical systems which is not being covered. And also, what is going to be important is while you commission it, it has to be a we should have a proper handover to the facility management people or the operation and maintenance team, because you commission something as built and as commissioned, if you don't hand it over with enough of training, the whole commissioning process is incomplete. So the standard also talks about the training to the operation and maintenance people. So that is where I was telling that it starts on the pre-design, goes up to the life cycle or the lifetime of the what do you call the project. So the commissioning process gets has been defined in 4 different stages. One is at the design stage, where you are going to initiate the process of commissioning, where you are going to get the complete owner's project requirement, what the owner is looking at, what is the intent of this project, what it is supposed to be delivering. Then you develop a commissioning plan. It talks about the standard, talks about how do you develop a commissioning plan and how do you establish the basis of design, that is for commissioning, and develop the commissioning specification. The commissioning specification is going to talk about what are the various measurement parameters that has to be, and what are the various outcomes that is expected from this system, equipment, and the subsystem. So that is how. And while we do it, it is important for us to look at the design review, because you design at a stage at the drawing, but when you go further, it is important for us to keep on reviewing and see whether you have the design meets all the requirements. If there are any non-conformities in the design, it should be resolved, or if there is a deviation which is necessary from the point of design, the owner has to approve it, so that owner is well aware of what he or she is going to expect from the whole system as a project. So that is the process which gets defined. Once that is being done, you get into the review of construction submittals. The construction submittals talks about the uh, things that has been supplied by the manufacturer, and see to it that it meets all the design requirements. If it does not meet, again it has to be resolved. There could be some cases where the non-conformities cannot be resolved, then it has to go back to the owner and inform him, is it good enough for us to take a deviation, or should we go back to the design? So what we are really making sure that throughout the whole process, we are making a well informed decision. And also, if it calls for redesigning or addressing the design, we're going to look at that. So the commissioning standard talks about the whole process of how do you look at it. Once the commissioning is done, there are going to be measurements which has to be done. Do the measurements with the right tools and test them. Do they meet all the requirements? If it meets the requirement, it is good, and put that as the report and the complete commissioning, the whole of what you call the what do you, the whole bio data or the complete history of that equipment, the subsystem system into one manual, so that there is a documented evidence and documented place for you to go back and check at any point of time. And it makes sure that you have the complete any challenges being addressed. And once you are done with that, all of that, it is important for us to also, as I said, it is important for us to impart training, create a complete commissioning report, and have a post commissioning operation which is required. So this is what construction, I mean the standard really addresses about. What we found is this was missing, and that is where the products were not commissioned properly, and there was a lot of rework which was required. Now, the advantage of commissioning standard, what we have done is we have made it very simple and understandable and implementable. There are ready-made formats which are available. It covers both the process and procedure for you to look at the HVAC product. As I said, there are checklists, forms, test instruments that has to be used, the accuracies at which you have to measure, and at the end of the whole thing, owner gets a complete documented evidence for he or she to look at and say there is a comprehensive information available, and it is a streamlined process. Um, this also helps you in terms of having uniform delivery of services, adoption across all the types of projects, continuous education and training. I will not read out all of this. So at the end of the day, what we are really looking at is how do we reduce the energy consumed? How do we reduce the rework? How do we ensure that the changes are reduced? There is no changes in the throughout the process, because anything that a rework or a change or a non-conformity leads to delay in the project. And if there is uh, any hindrance that comes, which you find out later, the whole project, either you have to compromise and say yes, I will live with it, or you may have to do something additional. So the intent of this standard always try to look at one important tangible benefit of reducing the energy consumption, but definitely the other one which you may or may not be able to get to see is reducing the rework, change, and non-conformities. While doing that, what we are definitely looking at is enhancing the quality level, a documented process and procedure which can be referred at any point of time in the future, and trained professionals which are available, the operation and maintenance people, improve the productivity and readiness for you to occupy the built environment or ready to work on it. So as I said, uh, I think I've already spoken about this. In the paucity of time, I will just quickly glance through what I mean by initiating the process, where you're going to talk about the scope of the commissioning plan, selecting the commissioning authority, and also integrate that commissioning authority into the project team, so that right from the day one, the commissioning authority is involved and he or she knows what is being done and what are the various nuances that may arise. And at the design stage, you are making sure that those things does not arise again. Then the owner's project requirement, which gets defined. There are going to be definitive requirements which are being defined in case of the data centers, but it becomes a little difficult thing, or there could be something which is missing when the owner defines the project requirement. So the commissioning authority probably facilitates to some extent in terms of understanding and also making them aware, and how important it is in terms of making sure that the commissioning is also involved in it. Then you create a commissioning plan based on the OPR so that it meets the OPR, and the basis of, then you re-establish and check the basis of design, go back and develop the commissioning specification. The standard helps you in creating those specifications, the checklist and format. The commissioning, once the commissioning specification, as I said, is going to talk about the delivery checklist, pre-commissioning, like once the product gets arrived, how it is being handled, how it is being stored, all of that is being covered. And definitely it talks about the functional performance once you're put the equipment or the system into use. Then there is going to be a commissioning design review, which has been defined how a commissioning design review has to be done. And also at the construction phase and the commissioning phase, what are the various things, like whether at the startup what you are sure to do, at the testing stage once the commissioning is done, or while the commissioning is being done, what are the various testing, how you maintain the balancing, has the balancing been done, which becomes a critical factor for us to consider. So that is being defined in the standard. And you will monitor, because there could be something which could be instantaneous measurement, but there could be something which has to be continuous measurement for a period, to make sure that you know the functioning of the equipment or the subsystem and the system is as per the OPR. Then the functional performance testing, in the sense, as I said, both the dynamic and passive testing is being done. And if there are any non-conformances, how do we take care of that? Go back to the equipment supplier or the contractor or the designer to make sure that you are making sure all those non-conformance are addressed. If there is any non-conformance which cannot be addressed, again, as a owner, what are the things that you may have to keep in mind, that the certain parameters which would not be met. So at the end, we are also given a guideline for how do you create a system manual, which contains all the information, and also it will include the training, because training becomes an important factor for the personnel who's going to take over the project as he goes on further. So training of the O&M personnel and the final commissioning report. This is going to be the Bible of the whole project, which has everything in there. The pluses, minus, what kind of decisions we took, how we took, what is the rationale for accepting the non-conformity, or what kind of rework was done, everything gets into it. So by that, you are completing the commissioning, and you can continue to have the post occupancy commissioning. This is particularly probably goes a little uh, larger when it comes to built environment, either a commercial space. It may also becomes a relevant one if it is in the data center, where probably you may create a modular design of adding some modules at a later date. So the post occupancy commissioning would also has been also defined in the standard. So what the standard, the systems and the subsystems it addresses is this is the list which I have put across here. And also the systems which has not been included currently is the WAM and the evaporative and passive cooling. So this is a quick overview of the commissioning and why commissioning standard is important. And here is a solution for you to look at. If there are any questions, Shivraj, I would be glad to answer.
Sir, I think thank you very much. You have introduced the concept how commissioning will help data center, and it is almost essential for every data center to have the best to best commissioning, so that whatever the design has desired, it will have achievement after the commissioning of data centers. So thank you very much for accepting our request. And now I would like to invite Mr. Syed Mohammed Berry, Chairman IGBC Bangalore chapter, to deliver concluding remarks. So, Mr. Berry is part of data center since beginning. We started this activity in way back 2016. Since then, he is supporting a great, and all the programs are supported in an excellent way by Mr. Syed Mohammed Berry, and he is the man behind the data center summit, which we are organizing from last 2 years. So we are 100% sure our whatever the time you have invested in Data Center Summit 2021, definitely it will result more, and your time, the investment will come in a very fast way back. You will find more and more opportunity in data centers. I'm glad to mention that Mr. Berry is doing a lot of data centers. One of the data center which we certified and he delivered to NTT in 2017. That was IGBC Platinum certified under IGBC Green Data Center certification. At this moment, he's working on more than 10 data centers for different service operators like NTT and many others. And he has a best concept for it. He called it design, built, and delivery, DBD. So that is the model he's following for all the data center to deliver the best quality in that. And he also follows a concept called stringent with DBD. So all the quality parameter will be adapted there. And it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Syed Mohammad Berry to deliver the concluding remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shiv. Sadly, all good things must come to an end. And we are here for the concluding session. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure and honor to conclude the second edition of IGBC Data Center Summit 2021, Conference on Green and Resilient Data Center with the support of Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, USA. Today, also, we had some inspiring and informative presentation by Mr. Vinod Jau, the CEO of Adani, on sustainability in data center, Mr. Suresh Rathod on sustainability on hypermarket data center, Mr. Raghuveer on immersion cooling, as a business case, and a presentation on power by Mr. Shailendra of Pillar, an interesting presentation by Deepak Thakur, and even the last presentation by Mr. V. Manjunath of UL was excellent. So I think all of these presenters deserves a big round of applause. It is an amazing, experience this time. Imagine we had nearly 1,500 delegates, who have registered our program. But the fact is, even though I'm here for the concluding address, the fact is our session, our conference is not going to close today. It's going to be live for next 30 days. So if any of you, or your senior people have missed this opportunity, you have an opportunity to look into the presentation and various product presentation, design presentation. All that is going to make a great deal in taking a data center to the next level. For which we have recorded the session on live. So you need to visit the CII Hive page and explore the opportunities. It is also important that we have a virtual exhibition. Under the virtual exhibition also going to be live for next 30 days. So please spare time and gain knowledge through the digital devices. It is a wonderful, when I look back, it is a wonder how quickly time has flown. We have spent 3 days with more than 45 presentations, from industry leaders, domain experts, from India and abroad. All presentations were really great. However, some of them were simply outstanding and openly appreciated by everybody. I would like to make a special mention of Water Smart Data Center by Mr. Mikhail, Nikolov Company, USA. No add to cost for optimization of data center. That was from Mr. Peter Thompson from Armstrong Fluid Technology, Canada, and many more. But due to the paucity of time, I cannot mention all. Sorry for that. Suffice to say, the presentation, presenters captured the attention of the audience and kept them spellbound, in virtual mode so artfully. All of you did a wonderful job. Thank you once again. Two important launches we had during this 2021 Data Center Summit. So one is about the user guide implemented, by the ECBC 2017, and the second one is the case study, an excellent case study by NetApp Bangalore, which is given a different dimension now to, in respect of free air cooling and night purging and other technical aspect. Finally, I would like to thank each and every one of you, our guests, our speakers, our presenters, presentation made by the different people, the delegates, and more importantly, Mr. Dale Sarter of Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory for their excellent support and assistance. I will once again, I would like to thank all the supporters and the sponsors. In that, the entity being the principal partner and the International Cooper Association, ICA as a supporting association, Adani, Controlas, Pillar, and Verti for platinum support, Armstrong Fluid Technology, Delta Power, STT GDC, NALCO, and Ecolab Company for gold sponsorship. I will fail in my duty if I don't compliment and congratulate our own IGBC team, managed by the team of Mr. Swarna Chaitanya, Mr. Himanshu Prajapati, Mr. Nilesh Rana, and Mr. Yasin Khan, headed by our thoughtful leader, Dr. Sivraj Dhaka. Wonderful connection. It's not easy for in 3 days, you connect. It is not connecting only India. We are connecting internationally. When the 2:30 is for us, for someone else, it is 2:30 in the night. For some other people, it may be, 5 o'clock in the early morning. But how to coordinate, how to, bring in all the best of the industry in single platform is an amazing job. And that has done by, with a great satisfaction by Dr. Sivraj Dhaka and his team. And naturally, they really deserve a big round of applause.
Thank you, sir.
With this, I would like to, conclude my concluding address and wish you all the very best. Goodbye for now, till we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was really pleasure to hear you again and again. It inspires, it gives a lot of energy when we hear you. I have a few slides just to give a glimpse of a data center summit and our request. Already you have announced, but I have put slide like how they will visit the exhibition and all the sessions they can hear. So here we have the CI Hive platform. You try to log in and visit the conference page. You can listen all the recorded session for next 30 days, as mentioned by Mr. Syed Mohammed Perry. Here is the exhibition. We had excellent support from these service providers, from data center companies. You can visit their booth. You may have their communication with their team members, and if you put any query, it will reach to them, and they will be very happy to respond to you. It is live for next 30 days. We are really thankful to NTT for their support. We are again thankful to Adani, Controllers, Pillar, and Vertiv for their support to Data Center Summits. We had a gold supporter, Armstrong, Delta, NALCO, and STT GDC. We are really thankful to them. And finally, this time we were very happy to receive support from International Copper Association of India. They are supporting our activities, and in future there would be much more collaboration within these organizations. So thank you once again, and thank you very much, sir, for all the support that you have provided to IGBC. You have guided us in a much more way, much more deeper with regard to your understanding for the data centers, and we are really thankful to you. So goodbye and thank you.
Great things change things. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, the information that empowers and connects us comes back to our global data centers. Built for a secure, sustainable, and digital world, they make the invisible visible and anything possible. And that's the great thing. Together, we do great things.
Chennai, known as the gateway to South India, is one of the major IT and data center hubs in the country. The Adani Group now plans to build world-class data center infrastructure in the city of Chennai. The Adani Chennai 1 data center is the biggest hyperscale data center in Chennai with a 32 megawatt IT load. It is strategically located in Sipcot IT Park with direct connectivity to the National Highway and other major IT hubs in Chennai. The data center is being built to meet global standards with 7 layers of security, best-in-class power usage effectiveness, redundant fiber connectivity, and green energy. The Adani Chennai 1 shall be equipped to provide one-stop solution for all telecom and IT infrastructure needs of hyperscale customers, including low-latency network connectivity, high-performance computing, and other value-added services. Through this data center, the Adani Group aspires to contribute to the local economy while continuing a work towards nation building at large and being steadfast on our philosophy of growth with goodness.
Manufacturing of exceptionally high-quality electrical machines and power quality equipment. Today, as part of the multidisciplined global British engineering group Langley Holdings plc, Pillar is a world leader and innovator in a number of power protection technologies, specializing in UPS systems for mission-critical applications and frequency converters for aircraft ground power, amongst other uses. Pillar UPS systems are found in applications where continuous high-quality power is paramount, such as computer data centers, financial institutions, broadcasting, telecommunication networks, airports, healthcare facilities, and continuous process production sites. Nothing protects quite like Pillar.
It's amazing what humans have accomplished. Cars that think, machines that learn, healthcare that predicts. The progress of tomorrow has yet to be imagined, but it will rely on data. It will rely on Vertiv. Vertiv ensures data gets where it needs to be uninterrupted. Critical power is always running. Servers perform at optimal temperatures. Infrastructures grow safely and responsibly. Applications run without glitches. And life leaps forward again. Getting there takes vision and agility. Our leading experts think beyond infrastructure, connecting the dots to create integrated, intelligent ecosystems, to create a future that takes innovation to the next level. And when business needs shift, we work closely with our customers every step of the way. Together, we ensure they are ready before they ever need to be. Vertiv provides continuity in our digital world, so we remain unbound, liberated, free to create the next big thing. Vertiv, architects of continuity.
Great things change things. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, the information that empowers and connects us comes back to our global data centers. Built for a secure, sustainable, and digital world, they make the invisible visible and anything possible. And that's the great thing. Together, we do great things.